With these 5 habits, I've been able to significantly change my life without much effort. Now, I don't know if you're like me, but I've struggled with building new habits, or, you see all these videos on YouTube and they tell you all the things that you should be doing as a creator, as a business owner, as a human being. And it can be overwhelming because we overcomplicate things. It's really tough to see something and then say, you know what, how can I apply this to work for me, right? A lot of times it's like you just have to wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning before anyone's ever up to do your workouts and whatnot. And if you're not a morning person, you're already thinking, hey, that's impossible. How is that relevant to me? But what if I could tell you there were 5 habits that I would call easy that helped me change my life better in a significant way each time I implemented these? That's what we're going to talk about today. Hi, I'm Shawn Buttner, the host of Creators That Crush podcast and your certified high performance coach. Let's jump into it. When I think about things that have really changed my life for the better and that were really high impact, low effort, the first one that I think of is writing. And how this has shown up to help me in my life is there was times in my life where I did not like the life I was living. And part of it was, my very first job, I was sleep deprived, high stress, on call all the time. And I couldn't help but just focus on how much I didn't like what was going on in my life. And that added to the stress. And what got me out of it was doing some, research online. I came up on some journaling exercises about reframing, right? And so I would wake up and just think, I hate my job, I hate my job, I hate my job. I drive in, get in the car and commute and be like, I hate my job, I hate my job, I hate my job. I'd open the front door of where I worked. I just think, I don't want to be here, I hate my job, I'm so exhausted. And this was what was running in my head the whole time. And so what I started to do is I would wake up, get a journal, and anytime I caught myself in that loop, and to just start the day correctly, I would start the day with this and then add it in as those I hate my job thoughts would come up, is I would just write 10 times, I don't love my job yet. And it always seems really, really silly and maybe kind of stupid, but what it did for me is it helped counteract that I hate my job with a little bit more, something a little bit more optimistic and a little bit more malleable, right? If I don't love my job left, I'm training my brain to look for what do I love about my current situation. And if I can find the things that I do love about my job or that I like about my job, maybe I can start to focus on pushing my career into those activities more and stop stressing out about how everything sucks. And like I said, this is such a silly, simple, stupid idea, but it shifted everything for me, right? Just being able to do that and then catching myself in that loop, breaking it and replacing it with something a little bit or more neutral emotionally allowed me to start figuring out my way through that. And that's from writing, right? So like a journaling practice, a very practical journaling practice. So my question for you is, what does that journaling practice look like for you? Do you need an intervention like that in your life as a creator or a business owner or human being? Or do you need something a little bit more proactive, and like the advanced level of this that came later in my career when I did love my job is, what am I excited about in my life, or what am I looking forward to in my job this week, and building some more positive expectation in your week So it took me from so the struggling with this mindset of I hate my job and I don't love my job left, right? It took me from stress and anxiety to neutral. And thinking about later on, like, hey, what am I looking forward to my job? It took me from neutral to excited and feeling joy about the things that I was doing each week and building some energy behind it. That's the power of a writing habit in two different contexts, right? So I hope you get what I'm saying, and I don't want to beat that dead horse too much. But a clarity habit about writing about what's going on in your life can be very transformational, very low lift. Each time, either it was the reframing in that first part of the story or the excitement plotting in the second half, literally took me 2 minutes each time to shift my mind. That's the power of physically writing things out. So that's why I think developing a writing habit that's very simple and very easy to use can be highly effective. That's number one. The second habit that really shifted my life was slowing down my mornings. For a good chunk of my career as a software engineer, I had what I called frantic mornings, right? I'd get up, I'd rush into the shower while the coffee was percolating, jump out of the shower, get dressed. Sometimes, even before I got dressed, I'd get to the coffee, fill up my big travel mug, and run out the door, be out the door in 15 minutes, and then into the commute, into the day, just hit the ground running and into action. And what I found out is I was starting to feel just a constant level of stress. And so the times in my career when I needed to think about stuff, I was like, I got to be doing something, right? I had trained and been pushing so hard to just do that I never stopped to slow down. And so I started to experiment with, well, what if I just made that first hour of my day no obligations, low stress, and instead of waking up, jump in the shower, drink as much coffee as possible, maybe fit in some breakfast, and be on my commute in 15 minutes. If I took that hour to wake up kind of like a normal person, maybe do that writing exercise that I shared earlier, maybe read a book, maybe just do some light exercise. But the whole goal is, instead of, I would plan for the hour before going to and commuting to just be not scheduled, nothing planned time, right? It's just time to actually wake up and let your body kind of do it by itself. And what I found is those days when I would do the slow mornings tended to be extra productive, tended to be extra happy. I liked what I was doing more during the day, and it saved me from making mistakes. So I've incorporated this, slow morning habit exercise every morning since, was it 2017 when I first started doing this. And it really has changed my level of anxiety throughout the day, right? So don't start out with anxiety and the frantic energy. Start with a slow start. Get warmed up to the day. Bonus points if you can do it without getting digital, and I'm really terrible at that, so it's not that I'm an expert at this, but it's an aspiration. What I definitely don't do is get into emails or communication technology right off the bat if I can help it. And I'm more successful with that than watching YouTube videos or whatnot first thing when I get up, which is terrible. But the more you can stay out of digitalness, I think there's a huge just psychological gain for yourself too. Nothing like a news story to get you all riled up before you even start the workday, and then you have to undo that. So that's what I like to do on slow mornings. Wake up, do some writing, do some movement, take a shower, maybe get some coffee, do some thinking, and try to stay out of digital stuff. So that's habit 2. So habit 3 is called an exposure habit because I am a card-holding introvert. So it's a lot to get on camera to do these types of like public speaking type things. And I do it because I want to help people. I want to help creators and business owners thrive. And so that mission overcomes the hesitation to, get on camera and speak and, kind of put myself out there. So that makes it an interesting type of tension with running a podcast every week or doing a YouTube video once a week, because that's like a schedule thing that I'm not naturally like pumped to do. So, but it's necessary for how I want to help people. What habit did I, what's the habit behind here, right? I call it an exposure habit. A lot of other people will call it, in personal development, we'll call it like just show up consistently. I had to, over the course of starting my YouTube channel and starting my podcast, force myself to release once a week, no matter what. And for the YouTube channel, it's not been consistent hardly at all. For the podcast, it's been entirely consistent. What I found out is the days that I think that I'm off or that the episode isn't the best, it turns out that either people really like that, maybe because they like, it seems just more human, or nobody notices at all. Like the episode I did 2.5 years ago where I'm like, I don't know what to talk about. I'm just going to get and rant and post it, and that'll be great. Nobody comes back and is like, hey, Shawn, remember that time you ranted 2.5 years ago? Nobody really cares, right? It's maybe not the best to help people, and serve my purpose. And that's a whole other discussion we're going to have on a different video. But it didn't kill me. It didn't hurt me in any foreseeable thing. And it wasn't a consistent thing where I was at a loss for words. Anytime I noticed that, I make changes. But the exposure of like the show must go on. I'm on a production schedule, one podcast a week, one YouTube video a week, has helped me get a lot more comfortable in front of the camera. It has helped me figure out how to make it better. So I think that habit of constantly exposing yourself to keep consistent or to do the thing that you don't want to do, but it's on your calendar and you got to do it every week is super great. Hey, it's Shawn. And if you're not happy with your level of progress or your habits, you might want to work with a coach. Luckily for you, I'm a certified high performance coach, and I specialize in helping creators and business owners like you get results quicker and change habits. Sometimes we all need more support. There's only so much we can do ourselves, and sometimes you just need someone to bounce ideas off of, or to hold you more accountable, or to give you a different perspective, or to just sit with you as you figure things out. Which is why I'd love to invite you to a free 30-minute strategy session with me, where we deep dive into one of your aspirations or top struggles and provide you a custom plan for you to get results, to get progress, to get momentum around it. If that sounds cool to you, just go to ShawnButtner.com and click on the button for the free 30-minute call. You'll answer like 4 questions, and then you schedule your time, and away we go. Then we focus on your biggest aspiration or struggle, and at the end of the call, you know exactly what you need to do to make progress. It's super great. I love helping people in this way. So take me up on this invitation. Go to ShawnButtner.com, schedule your time, and I hope to talk to you soon. Back to the episode. 4th habit, I am constantly thinking about what is the smallest viable action I need to take to get momentum on something. And so I mentioned I was an introvert. I've been working with a podcast coach early half of this year. Part of his suggestion was to do social media outreach, which really was tough. To do it in a consistent way that was constantly honoring people and not being super spammy, because I could not like look myself in the mirror if that was me. Took a lot of energy. And so I've broken it down to where I just try to do one comment a day on people that I follow, right? So there's tons and tons of folks who are help creators out or in the personal development space that I think are doing a great job out there. And if I watch one of their videos, I just do one comment. I aim to do that at least once a day. Oftentimes I've found out now that I have this minimum or smallest viable action that I tend to comment a lot more on social media than I ever have in my life, or at least in the last 10 years, because I'm constantly looking to add something to the conversation to people that I admire and want to network with and build relationships. So that's been super powerful. Other things that fall under the smallest viable action is like health-wise. I've been doing 10 minutes of yoga every day right when I wake up. So kind of going back to the earlier energy habit of having that slow morning. Also, I try to do one 20-minute walk a day to get outside, to get some sun, to get the body moving. And if I can do those two each day, oftentimes the walk will turn into a longer walk. Yoga usually just 10 minutes, but I do feel more energetic throughout the day, and it helps me show up for these videos a bit more and with calmer energy. So it's really great. And then the fifth habit that's really changed my life. All right, so that smallest viable habit thing before we move on. This helped me, consistently move my body and produce more and get healthier, right? So no longer am I locked in a basement somewhere doing code for 12 hours a day. Getting out, it's really good. All right, fifth habit, I call it the no lurker rule. So part of building influence is you can either change how people think or you get people to like you. And the best way to get people to like you in this digital world and social media is to engage with content. And so as mostly a lurker on social media and online, it was not my habit to watch something and then leave a comment, like maybe do a thumbs up, but trying to be a little bit more engaged with, hey, I really loved what you were sharing today. It really got me thinking about how I do this in my life. And so I'm going to try this. I'll let you know how it goes. Just simple social stuff. But people like that, right? And so it's slowly building influence. It's led to a couple of podcast guests. It's led to a couple of really cool interactions that have made social media fun. If you can't tell, I've kind of had a negative idea of social media for a while. So it's kind of, again, helping expose me or get consistent with that part of my business. So I hope you guys liked these 5 habits and how they might change your life. So as I was talking about these, what's a writing habit that can help you shift your mindset or get more excited for the week and get more clear about what's going on in your life, like a writing habit? How would that fit into your life? If you really think what would be one question you can ask yourself every day that might help you advance in whatever you're trying to get after, right? Second thing, energy habits, right? What would be your version of a slow morning, right? And map it out. If you had to plan out the first hour, and either you could, if you're super crazy in type A, maybe plan out every 15 minutes of the first hour you're up. Maybe you're a little bit more relaxed and you just have love to accomplish this small checklist of things. How would that look for you? And how do you think that might change how you feel during the day? And this is a really important question because you'll say it won't change it, or maybe it'll be a little bit different. Then you do it and compare with what actually came up. And I think you'll be really surprised at how the slow morning of getting up a little bit earlier or making that first hour just super protected and slow will change the rest of your outputs and how you approach the rest of the day. What are some things that you need to be consistently doing each week? And how would you handle making sure that happened? So, what are you exposing yourself to that makes you a little bit uncomfortable that you're adding to your week each week? And then, productivity habit. What's the smallest viable action to help you in your business or in your health or in your relationships? What would you need to do minimum each week to push that just a little bit further ahead? It's really amazing how that can, really turn into a huge difference. And to solidify this, right? If you aren't doing any push-ups or you just did one push-up a day for the whole year, you'd have 0 push-ups versus 365, right? You'd have 365 more push-ups. Now, if you just did one push-up each day, which would make you stronger, you'd be better off than not doing anything at all. So it's the power of the smallest viable action. And then, what are you doing to engage with people that you admire or people you want to work with or collaborate with or just want to add to the conversation, right? And so, again, for me, it's the no lurker rule, but what would that look like for you in your business or in your life? With that said, this concludes our episode of Creators That Crush. I hope you liked this episode. If you did, you might like this video over here. I'll put that in the show notes. Please like us on Apple Podcasts and leave a comment there if that's where you're listening, or below in the YouTube comments. And we'll see you guys next time. Take care.